Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday, beautiful people. Today is the 21st of January, which is some type of crazy. January 21st, 2026. Hope you are doing extremely well. I do have a quick little preview. I think, last time I said I didn't have much, and then it was too much, in my opinion. But I will speak on it. I'll say that somebody thought that they had what channeled to me to be Ascension Insurance. And hear me out. How that basically looks is like the likes of trip insurance. I know you probably would think first it would be like car insurance or property insurance, but how I was seeing it is like trip insurance first before it even before a term was channeled to me. It was like when you are going to take a trip, but you want to ensure that if something happens or something comes up, you can either get a full refund or a partial refund, or be able to transfer that experience to another date and time. Like, say if there's an accident, or God forbid a death in the family, or something just comes up that you can't work around, you won't just be kind of assed out if you paid your money and that's that. So it was giving that, where someone thought that they had bought into a proper amount of coverage, so that worst case scenario, they could never be left behind in the event of an ascension, a collective one, or a universal one. I don't know. Like, someone thought that they had a fail proof. Like, okay, well, so basically it looks like this. Like, I'll run my game, do what I do, live life the way that I want to live it, see, if my terms, or if my methods, or however someone wanted to carry on in life, could have been quite contrary to what they may have even known would be more secure in terms of their passageway to ascension, or evolving, or progressing, advancing, however you want to look at it. Obviously, there was some type of knowing, or information that someone had, or else they wouldn't have felt they had a need for a security, or something like a backup plan, so to speak. And 2:02 on the clock as I'm speaking. So anyway, what somebody thought they paid into or secured one way or another. It may not have been physical money, but they thought they were covered on all bases, so that if, God forbid, Judgment Day should commence, they already had a golden ticket, on reserve. If they didn't want to necessarily do the legwork and the planning to secure their trip in advance. So they felt like they could go their own way, and at the drop of a dime, if need be, they'd still have a way to access this new ascended experience of life, whatever that even gets to be as it's still unfolding, without stress, but they didn't. The point of the matter is that they either didn't have the security that they thought they had purchased or uh, locked down or was locked into either did not exist, or the terms in which they made agreement with, or the terms that they agreed to, were faulty or misleading or something. Like there was some type of misinformation, or something that was altogether deceptive about these terms. And or I saw a couple of scenarios where the hidden term or concept, perhaps of this so-called agreement for security, was someone would have been responsible for doing. There was something that somebody would have needed to do, allegedly, in order to completely secure this insurance, but either they were unaware of this term, or it was kind of pulled out on the back end, like, aha, you didn't do this, or something that was weaved into some other verbiage and they didn't realize, or just, I don't know what the misunderstanding was, but someone up until a certain point was pretty confident in their passageway being secured, up until the point where they weren't. Maybe perhaps when they went to access that golden ticket or present that golden ticket, and the credentials were not being recognized, or the ticket was expired, or it was phony, even worse, or something that was just completely devastating for someone that thought that they had a seat on the train. The train to glory. That good old glory train, only to realize that they don't. They are just a part of the general population of maybe others that desire a ticket, but don't have the means to get one, or are just as, pretty much stuck at square one, or back to square one as they are when they initially thought they had the jump on. Like they had one of those, I saw this also, like one of those fast pass things where when you go to an amusement park and you can go like to the accelerated line, skip all of the common folks pretty much. So anyway, whatever it was, and it could have even been a philosophy, an ideology that someone subscribed to, that it's really as primitive, but not really as this, as those folks that felt like they had the jump on success, and the questionable ways in which they pursued it, justifiably, because they had the knowledge. It's like, well, if you don't know that this is an accelerated way to get ahead, not only is it not my responsibility to share that information, it's also not for me to feel sorry that you may not know, or that you may be getting taken advantage of, or getting the short end of the stick because you don't know. Common case, the entertainment industry, right? Or even some of the muckiest aspects of corporate America. So anyway, point of the matter is that somebody wasn't covered, or they didn't have the coverage that they thought they did. They didn't find out until, ain't nothing worse than not realizing you don't have, could even be practical. Like somebody thought certain things were covered, maybe in the case of an accident, or in the case of maybe even health insurance. You think you got premium health care, only to find out like, oh no, we only cover this much of that, or we don't cover all of that or any of that. So it's like I was saying, it's nothing worse than finding out you're not covered, or you're extremely vulnerable in in a situation where you really need to be as covered as possible, right? So to someone's dismay, that is a revelation or realization that they're having to face and react and respond to. And there really isn't a lot of preparation um, with how to do so, because again, someone was so sure that they wouldn't need to, that it wasn't even a second thought. As a matter of fact, in order to carry this particular mindset or subscribe to this ideology, you kind of have to have an inflated sense of, let's say, optimism, to be liberal, an inflated sense of optimism in order for, maybe that could be the thing that fell through, is that inflated sense of, let's say, confidence, which ultimately secures the ticket, like, well, I got this. What someone's, like, say that was the currency, confidence, but someone's confidence perhaps wasn't staked in actual money or actual in an actual frequency of exchange. The difference between buying something with cash versus Bitcoin, it's like, it may have a relevance or value in one particular market or space and time, but it's not necessarily universal or even national at this, a national exchange at this. So it's something like that, where someone thought that their philosophy or their association or whatever it was, that they, almost like how the reserve is supposed to be, or was, I don't think it is anymore, a direct correlation of the gold reserves or silver reserves, in the country, like precious metal, which is a conflict when, your paper money, your fiat, doesn't really match that, right? So it's like there was an there it is, like I said, that an inflated confidence, or an inflated sense of security here, or belief, maybe even inflated faith in a system or a circumstance, a corporation, an affiliation, particular access, inflated to such a degree that there was really nothing grounding it or backing it after a certain point. It was just whimsical words spoken on, on a whim, in the wind at that. Like, imagine all of that, like that level of flakiness, pretty much. Or imagine like having, I don't know how this would actually work, but having bought insurance with a particular agency, there it is, agency is the word, only to find out post having an actual, occurrence, like an accident or something, that insurance agency doesn't even exist, or it just shut down, or just filed bankruptcy or something like that. It's like, fuck, what does that mean for me? Like, how does that affect me? Like, oh well, sorry. Like, that type of energy. Where does one go from there? Because picking up new insurance at this point in time is not going to fix your current predicament. And new insurance also costs new money. and you might need the money you have to fix the problem that you have. And hell, with those odds and with those with that situation at hand, you might not even have enough to do that. So yeah, somebody really kind of bet on the wrong horse or something. I don't know. All that to say, at 15 minutes in, I guess I did have a message. All right, let's see what we got. They invested in the wrong agency, the wrong protection. And it was either a scam or it was just faulty and unstable in the first place, you know. Maybe a little bit of both. All right. Let's see what else, whether it's related to that or not, because that could really just kind of be pushed to the side. And, you know, I don't really think there's much more to elaborate on that, honestly. But let's see what else we got here. And it's so funny that this comes up in a struggle like this, because I was literally just thinking, and here's the 8 of Cups on the bottom. I was literally just thinking, like, somebody just, you know, like, they just didn't want to do the work. Again, the work to plan, to prepare, to schedule, to put things in order. Maybe they didn't want to use their own currency to secure the spot, and currency could be money, could be energy, could be time, attention. That's what this 7 of Pentacles card is, actually, like invested energy over an extended period of time, but also for the purposes of a fortified long-term investment, or fortified long-term return, you know, reward for your efforts. And it coming out in a struggle signifies that someone's realizing that for all that they put in, or for all the, even if it was just belief in a system or in a security or whatever, very little has been acquired from it. Somebody could have been invested in something for 7 years only to harvest 1 pentacle. Not even 1 pentacle per year, just 1 pentacle. You know, it's disheartening in a struggle for someone to see exactly what the purpose of any of this was, you know. It's almost like the only thing it was good for was like bolstering, again, that inflated sense of ego, confidence, courage that carried them to this point. It's like, well, hell, almost a reflectively observing, like, what was that? You know what I mean? Was that even real? Was that even a thing? Or was that all me in the first place? You know, it could even be, I'm feeling that too. Like somebody realizing that what they had given so much, you know, and put so much stock into wasn't even more secure than they are, or more of a best bet than they were on themselves. If they had actually invested all of that energy and time and attention on themselves, even quote unquote doing the work, whatever that is, that would have made them self-sufficient and personally secure, they would be in a much better off position, far better off position than where they are in the present moment after investing in something outside of themselves. like spending 7 years working tirelessly to build someone else's empire, and to come down to the end of it and maybe you get like a little severance payment, you know, maybe a little unemployment, but not much. When it's like, damn, 7 years, I could have put this 7 years into building my own brand or my own vision or doing something, you know, that I love, that would be a direct return and reward to me. And then if I come down to one pentacle after that, then it's well earned because it's all mine. You know, it's like all of the energy someone invested into something, whatever that is going to be left behind or is lost, you know, to whomever, wherever, however they invested it. And what I'm really seeing here with the Seven of Pentacles is like somebody can see it. Like you can see where your money has gone, or you can see the effects, maybe even because of hindsight, but you can see the how your presence has grown a thing or added value to a thing, and really can quite honestly recognize that, you know, the disparity of what that could look like if you had not been present or had not invested your time and energy. Like maybe something wouldn't have even been as prosperous or profitable at least. And now it's like somebody's looking at something that they have to walk away from or that they've gained very little from, like, damn, and all of that you got is because of me. Like if I wouldn't have done all this, you wouldn't even had all this, or this company wouldn't even be this great, or this brand wouldn't even be this great if it wasn't for me, you know. But yet this is like a consolation prize that someone gets to walk away with. And there's still there's still the expectation to maintain, if not even thrive, like a pressure even to thrive on the other side of all that you're losing, which adds, you know, a greater burden onto someone. It's like I already got to deal with what I've lost on account of what I've misinvested or mismanaged or misjudged. Now I have to deal with watching it thrive or watching something go on, succeed, whatever, without me, even though it's because of me. And then I have to take this little, you know, fraction of a fortune with the pressure to make something of it or make something of myself with it, maybe even to just survive on it. It's like, and all of that is very Seven of Pentacles, because it's very much so all about how you look at the thing, you know, like, all right, well, I got something out of it, or I had the experience, I have time, I have the skill to go, you know, if you could do it, go do it again, or whatever, you know, whatever. But in the moment, though, of this realization that is heavy hitting for someone, it's not so optimistic, you know. The Seven of Pentacles is really a matter of perception and what you're going to do with that coin. But at a moment where it was, you know, in a struggle, it's not so easy to see the forest for the trees at that point. all you see is your losses. High Priestess. Something that was hidden, secretive, mysterious. I guess that could be what I'm speaking of, like this revelation of, you know, where, you know, somebody's current state of being. Like I said, either finding out you don't have the coverage, maybe finding out you're discontinued from some association or position or whatever. You've lost a significant amount on an investment. Whatever the challenging revelation may be, I feel like it just has the potential to be it has the potential to be like salvific for someone. Like, again, if they see it that way though. Because I mean, it's unfortunate to find out you're not so covered as you thought you were after an unfortunate event or an accident, but at least you know, and at least it wasn't, you know, a fatal event per se, you know, where you're still carrying on thinking that you have a particular favor in a way that you don't. You know, it could be a saving grace to come to find out the truth of the matters that are hidden in your life, whether it's the true nature of something you're investing in, who you're associating with, what you're committing yourself to. An idea, a mindset, some type of unorthodox belief, maybe. Could be investment in an unorthodox person. Now I'm starting. Let me see what's after this High Priestess. It's going to tell me what I need to know. Yes, I felt it. So this is specifically like somebody that may have invested in someone like a practitioner, a so-called seer, a spiritualist, a reader, a prophetess, or it could be man, whatever, but I'm seeing the High Priestess. That somebody invested a lot of faith. They've invested a lot of faith in either what someone could conjure for them or in what someone was projecting to them, perhaps by way of readings or messages, oracle messages, words, you know, fortune telling, let's say. But the whole premise of this message is about feeling like you have a certain security or access or favor This could even be someone thinking that they had the inside scoop on something. Imagine using a spiritual advisor to steer your financial decisions, but feeling like it's a trustworthy source, maybe because of other things that, have panned out or made sense in your life. You're like, well, let me trust this woman or man, whatever, to guide me in this direction too. And maybe for a time, that stint, that run of feeling secure, like feeling like, yeah, you got the secret sauce in your back pocket. You got, you know, freaking Cleo, you know, on speed dial at any given time. Like, all you gotta do is pick up the phone, give them the specs, and they'll either pull some cards or channel some energy, and they'll let you know what direction. Is this a good investment? Should I take this position? Should I move with these folks? What's these people's true intentions? Like, somebody really thought they had a bird's eye view, maybe through channeling energy from someone else, again, i.e. a practitioner. And it was enough to garner confidence, again, inflated confidence, inflated optimism, trust in a particular source. Maybe there were some results in the past that gave someone the confidence to keep on investing into what they thought was, again, their ascension insurance, and 5 of Pentacles is the very opposite. It's like somebody is losing money by the day, or has lost so drastically that they've gone from one state of security to one that is completely insecure and unstable. And it could also be taking a toll on their physical health. Certainly mental, it could be as well, but the finances is what I'm really seeing most affected, like somebody's livelihood and stability and security financially, materially, I should say. And it could be just on account, again, of someone just giving up all their money. Sometimes that happens, like you start filtering your money into things like that, readings and practices and rituals and this and that to manifest, well, I'll say manipulate a certain result. But either someone really, again, wasn't as skilled as they were presenting themselves to be, or they had their own hidden agenda. Yeah, with the High Priestess, they had their own hidden agenda that steered how successful the practice would be, or how successful they would perform. Like they position themselves to kind of be a money pit or a money vacuum for someone's over ambitions and eagerness. And maybe there are ways that this person can deliver and can produce results as an upright High Priestess, but for whatever reason, there's some agenda here by whom, held by whomever was trusted by this particular person here, to see to the downfall of that person, or maybe even be indifferent to their downfall by their own activities. Hell, or they could both be on Nicole because of how she came. I don't know. Let's see what's on the other side of this 5, because they could both be out on in the cold or at a disadvantage on account of something that was out of bounds in some way, shape, or form. That's a lot. Okay. Okay, so I don't know, but I'm gonna say on account of whether or not it's both, I will say that if this feminine energy is any representation of the high priestess, it's like, I don't think it's both, because this energy is given like every man or woman for themselves, with this 9 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands coming out together. Somebody very independent that I would even say kind of knew what they were doing. Now, I can't speak to the righteousness of it in totality. The only thing here is that the high priestess is upright. But boy, oh boy, her methods and means are mysterious indeed, if this is all the same person. Because it's like somebody led a pig to the slaughter, misled them in some ways, but not in the sense where I feel like it's like somebody allowed someone to mislead themselves. It's like someone as a high priestess or a practitioner or something got a request to do something, to do some type of work. They peeped the scene of who was asking, against whom, or for what, or for whom, like what were all the properties of this request. Now, highest frequency, one might just send someone on their way and say, nah, I'm not going to do that. But it feels like a high priestess kind of made like a citizen's arrest in a sense spiritually, where they were like, okay, yeah, I can, in whatever way they could, they found a way to kind of like maintain their innocence in a way, like protect their integrity in a way, by allowing someone's eagerness to kind of do the damage for them. And that could look like somebody encouraging someone to do certain things, or, just giving all types of misleading information, especially if they were going to someone for readings or for information. This could be someone that was telling them all types of stuff, just could even have been telling them the opposite of what they saw, just to throw like a wrench in their plans. It's something about that hair where someone may have thought that here it is, that they had an ally, they had insurance, they had someone on their side, on their payroll, in their back pocket. 9 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands is nobody's puppet, and definitely nobody's hoe. I mean, characteristically, you might assume so, but don't let the independence fool you. And just because she can do certain things in the spiritual arts doesn't mean that she's going to. And like I said, you could run into someone that's just simply going to turn you away or send you on your way. Or you could run into someone that's ultimately going to turn your wand on you. And you, before you even realize it, you find yourself in the Five of Pentacles. And here we are back to the beginning, because like I said, it's like somebody thought they had coverage, thought they had the inside on something, the inside track on something, only to realize quite abruptly that they do not. This could have been somebody, presenting as if they were casting some type of protection spell, or they, like, whatever it is somebody was in the market for. It feels like the high priestess carefully considered how they could keep their hands clean. Maybe not. I don't know. But for whatever reason, they were more inclined to lead this particular person on and lead them astray than they were to and take their money, apparently, which is probably the slight, level to be adjusted in terms of integrity. But this is like vigilante energy, where somebody's like, well, I'm getting paid to do a job too, because I'm leading this idiot to eliminate themselves, pretty much. Like they have their own code of ethics, and they feel it's just, it's something deep, multi-layered about. They have their own code of ethics, and they feel particularly authorized to enforce that, to enforce consequences against those that they encounter breaking those laws, maybe universal laws, maybe just spiritual etiquette, like unspoken rules that those that have particular access to a world already know. But when you don't, and you're trying to overstep them, or when you don't feel, like this, again, is somebody trying to use someone else's energy to do their dirty work for them, thinking that this is also the false security, that they won't reap the consequences because it's someone else's hands, in the dirt. But yeah, this slick high priestess here, and is very much trickster energy, like Rumpelstiltskin, like fairy type energy, because it's like, what? Nothing unfair here. I did what you asked me to do. You did, like genie almost type energy. But again, be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it, but not in the way that you anticipated. And it seems like it would be this energy's pleasure to deliver. Like, that's a good day for this energy. All right, let me get one more. I'm kind of fangirling, I ain't gonna lie. Like, that's why I'm channeling so slow, because I'm like, dang, who this? You cold-blooded. Ooh, what that Wheel of Fortune do, though? Wow. That's what I said. It's all fair here. All destiny and fated over here. Somebody's just casually enacting taking you like almost taking karma into their own hands. Respectfully though, clearly. Like I said, it's somebody that knows, they know their lane, they know their level. They're not going to overstep their bounds, or they wouldn't be a high priestess anymore. They wouldn't have certain abilities and liberties and sovereignties. They wouldn't have that. So it's like somebody found the right one. Oh, my rose fell over there. Interesting. Somebody stumbled across the right one and the wrong one all at the same time. Because like on the meter of so-called holiness and righteousness, right? This person might toe the line a little bit, but it's because of who and what they catch into their web and how they handle them, that if anything, like if this is an energy that is questionable, you know, in terms of their methods and things like that, to the divine anyway, it's also that this energy is being this energy is being used purposefully to kind of like clean up the trash, more or less, you know what I mean? Like, because they can and they will, and they do a good job at it. Now, an energy such as this could find themselves at odds at times if perhaps the object of their engagement is someone that is not deserving of such treatment. But in this particular case, with the Wheel of Fortune here, this is what someone has ultimately brought on to themselves. They've manifested this exchange. And the way around this exchange would have been to, and what this exchange has brought is ultimately like hurling someone into a karmic cycle, no longer avoidant of, you know, that experience in the ways that they were, you know, looking to secure it before, again, like by way of purchasing some type of ascension insurance, so you can bypass the trial and tribulation of any dark night or growing pains, evolution symptoms, or anything of the sort. No, this somebody just want to go straight to the attraction of total wish fulfillment, blissfulness, great fortune, by way of someone else's ticket, or on in some other in exchanging for a ticket or entry access in a way that is not fair and balanced, not equal. So again, it's nothing unfair here, and it's like the energy that they have, or that they did, whether this is a person or a group, collective, again, a mindset, whatever, the energy that they had, that they have, what's the right word? Not solicited, but damn, it was a word I heard. Let's say accessed, resourced, maybe, that they've resourced has become like their official tour guide straight into where they were destined and fated to wind up. No shortcuts, no detours, no fast passes. Except to where they were headed in the first place, or where they were always invited to travel through, which is this moment of reconciling outdated cycles and dismantling them from regenerating again and again. So someone thought they were clever enough to be able to still parlay in old cycles and enjoy the fruits, the splendors and spoils of that access, while still holding their ascended fortune on layaway. So that when this party was over, they could just hop in the Uber or Lyft and skip over to the bliss of ascension with no stress, no fuss. Maybe even thought they were going to ride that wave by way of someone else, or someone else's passageway, or someone else's abilities, or fate, fortune, whatever. Like they thought they had it locked. And when it all came down to it, they realized it's a solo journey, one passenger at a time. And they do not have a ticket or a passport. Seven of Swords. Wow. Wow. Damn, I don't think I've ever seen that combination before. Get into that. The Seven of Swords and the Sun. Somebody pretty much tricked themselves out of their own bliss, thinking that they were being clever. Like, oh, I got you, I'll be back. So you stay right there, going off to play, doing whatever the hell they good and grown enough to do, as the old folks would say. And then they heard that final boarding call, and they thought they could just run over to the gate real quick, and that gateway was closed unless you have the proper credentials or documentation to access it. So, I mean, that really is a great depiction of it in the end. The Seven of Swords and the Sun. What somebody thought they were doing to secure the Sun, to keep it locked in its place, which sounds crazy in itself, right? And is even more ridiculous than somebody thinking that they could stop the Wheel of Fortune, or slow it down, or delay it, or destroy it altogether. But you think you're going to hold the Sun in position for your own leisure? That's craziness. Imagine that's like thinking the world revolves around you personified right there. Like, when I say rise, you rise. But anyway, they have been fully enlightened to all the ways that they have played themselves, so it appears. That's what I'm getting here. And also, there is an illumination of their contributions or creativity in their circumstances as well. As a matter of fact, it might be more of a spotlight on them and what they did than the influences that contributed. Even this mysterious woman here, imagine that, like, you, because it's not like you can necessarily say, well, this person is who told me to do it, because she's in the shadows. She, you look even crazier talking about some type of practitioner or spiritual woman told you to do X, Y, and Z. Because in the end, you were the one that had to execute the orders. And in this case, this is the person that concocted the mission. So it seems. And so even their best attempt to blame shift it onto someone else just doesn't work out, because the assurance that they paid into is out of sight, out of range from what the common person should be privy to. So therefore, it's like the spotlight gets turned right back to someone else to take full responsibility and accountability for whatever has been created from their actions, their intentions, their impressions, their presence, whatever it is. And it's made for great grounds to, again, leave someone kind of out in the cold. Imagine if this is a corporate case and someone has been making all these high-level decisions on account of some bad intel. They can't go blame the witch lady. No disrespect, high priestess. But, that's how the board would see it. It's like, well, you executed this, so you're the one that's going to have to take the fall. And that could go in a range of different directions, practically, mystically, all types of stuff. But somebody is not able to hide behind their excuses, their illusions, or their clever anecdotes anymore. It's nothing but the truth out in the open. Just like the good Lord intended. Oh, man. So where did this start again? About, somebody thinking they had Ascension insurance. Okay. All right. So, yeah, they don't. They didn't. The only insurance that they could possibly secure would be their own personal security and self-esteem. And it seems like somebody's got some work to do in that regard, or they wouldn't have relied on things outside of themselves in this way in the first place. If they felt secure enough, like I said before, somebody seeing how much more powerful and impactful they are by themselves as opposed to what they connected themselves or binded themselves to. So anyway, all is fair when the Wheel of Fortune pops out. It is what it is. All right, so thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time. I hope it wasn't blurry down there the whole time. As always, I'll leave you with peace.